What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another entry into our Rogue Rumble series, which we haven't done in quite some time. Ever since Burning Shadows has come out, we've been doing a lot of the kind of popular decks that have been in the meta, but I felt like it's time to, start doing some weird deck ideas and some more creative stuff. So this time we're going to be taking a look at Drampa GX Salazzle. And this is actually a deck idea. I forget the user's name, but actually someone did comment about this deck idea in the comment section of one of our videos a while back. And I was thinking, hey, that actually sounds like kind of fun. I didn't have a list or anything to work with, but I just kind of made my own based on the guy's idea. So I apologize for not remembering your name, but shout out to whoever commented about this deck idea. But it's definitely proven to be a lot of fun. So let's take a look at it and, what makes this deck tick. So Drampa GX is going to be the main attacker. You guys are probably familiar with this guy by now. We are mainly using Drampa for his Berserk attack, so 3 colorless energy. It does 80 plus 70 more damage if any of your bench Pokemon have damage counters on them. So it's kind of nice if we have a choice band on Drampa, we can hit for 180, which is really nice. And, against a lot of these Stage 2 Pokemon like Gardevoir that have been popping up, and even some of these Stage 1 GXs as well, they can sometimes be just out of range for Drampa to take a knockout on, but that's where the Salazzle comes in and some other cards that we'll get to a little bit later in the video. But Drampa does have some other nice stuff going on for it. It has a Righteous Edge. For just a single colorless energy, it does 20 damage, and you discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Very, very strong attack, so against things like Garbodor variants, Gliscod variants, Gardevoir variants, just a lot of decks right now play double colorless energy. So this is definitely a good attack that we can abuse at some point in the game. And its GX move is also pretty decent as well. Big Wheel GX for just a single colorless energy. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 10 cards. Now, of course, you are at risk of your opponent ending you, but if they don't, you definitely have a big advantage going into your next turn. And I'd argue, even if your opponent ends you, you're probably using Big Wheel because you don't have a great hand to begin with. So either way, you get end, at the very worst case scenario, into a new hand. So Drampa is going to be the main attacker. So let's look at the rest of the deck. The other key component is going to be a 3/3 Salazzle line. So we're playing Salazzle for its Hot Poison ability. Whenever you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned and poisoned. So this is actually very important, just for the math, to take one-hit knockouts. So Berserk, if we have a choice band on Drampa, we're hitting for 180. With the Hot Poison, that's essentially 30 extra damage. So we're hitting for 210, which is going to knock out basically, a lot of the popular Stage 1 GXs that are currently in the game. So the math for Hot Poison just helps out a lot here. But it is also worth noting Salandit has actually been a decent attacker for me at times. It has the Venoshock attack for just a DCE. It does 20 plus 40 more if your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned. So sometimes if you need an attacker in a pinch, I've actually used this card several times. So, Venoshock does 60 base damage if they're poisoned. You have to figure they're going to take at least 10 damage from poison. That's 70. So then you have a choice band, you can do 100. So Salandit sometimes can actually be an unexpectedly decent attacker. But yeah, the main reason we're using Salazzle is for that ability. We're also playing one Oranguru for its Instruct ability. Once you're in your turn before you attack, you may draw until you have 3 cards in hand. So this is kind of to help make us end-proof in the late game. Also just helps us dig a little deeper through our deck at times if we really need to hit something to complete a combo for the turn. And it is worth noting its attack psychic can be decent at times too. DCE and just one other energy does 60 plus 20 more for each energy on your opponent's active Pokemon. So definitely not an ideal attacker, but we do have the option to use it if we choose to. We're playing a 1 Tapu Koko. For its Flying Flip attack, it does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, so the 20 damage from Flying Flip actually makes the math work out pretty good against certain things like Gardevoir GX, since it has 230 hit points. It's also just a nice Pokemon to have in the deck because it has a free retreat cost, so whenever we play something like a Guzma, we can have a, something to put in the active spot before we retreat back into something else. So just a nice free retreating Pokemon that has a decent attack as well. And the last Pokemon is 3 Tapu Lele GX, of course, for its Wonder Tag ability. Allows us to get a supporter card out of our deck whenever we bench Lele from our hand. Also, Energy Drive is always a pretty solid backup attack, 20 times the amount of energy on both active Pokemon. So, a pretty straightforward Pokemon line. Getting into the trainer cards, let's just jump in and talk about the other key card in this deck, and that's going to be Po-Town. It's a new stadium card that came out of Burning Shadows. Whenever any player plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon, put 3 damage counters on it. So let's just take Gardevoir GX just for example. So, let's say we have a Po-Town out and they rare candy into a Gardevoir. They take 3 damage counters, putting their Gardevoir down at 200 health. And then with a Choice Banded Drampa GX and a Salazzle, we can hit for effectively 210, knocking out a Gardevoir in one hit. So that's probably the most popular Stage 2 Pokemon at the moment. But of course we can also take one-hit knockouts on things like Golisopod GX and Stage 1 GXs too. So Po-Town just really helps with the math in a lot of situations. So that's going to be the big combo in the deck. And also too, Po-Town is cool because it helps our Drampa fulfill its requirement of its Berserk attack. So whenever we evolve into our own Salazzles, we take 3 damage counters. But that's nice because our Drampa GX can actually hit for, it gets that 70 damage boost, since one of our Pokemon will have damage counters on them already. So Po-Town and Salazzle they seem to have a good bit of synergy with Drampa. It's actually pretty fun. But let's take a look at the rest of the trainer cards. For our supporters, pretty straightforward stuff. 4 Sycamore, 4 N, just to help us draw through our deck. 3 Guzma, of course, just to choose what we want to take knockouts on. 1 Bridget, that's going to be our ideal first turn supporter. Lets us get 3 basic Pokemon out of our deck and put them on our bench. And then 2 Acerola, put one of your Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all cards attached to it back into your hand. So if our opponents don't knock out our Drampa GXs, we can just pick them back up and heal them off. Also, it gives us an opportunity to reuse our Salazzles as well. So that's kind of the reason we're playing Acerola in the deck. I might even consider going down to just 1. I use it very, very intermittently, it feels like. But definitely, in theory, it seems like it's a nice fit for the deck. But play around with this, you might even be able to cut 1 or 2 of these. So next up, 4 Ultra Ball, pretty standard. 1 Super Rod, 1 Rescue Stretcher. That's going to be our recovery cards, just to get Pokemon back from our discard pile. We are choosing to play the 1 Super Rod in particular because it gives us the option of getting basic energies back. And the reason we are concerned with that is we are playing 3 Max Elixir. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. Attach a basic energy find there to one of your bench basic Pokemon. So unlike something like the Drampa GX Garbodor deck that has a 1 energy backup attacker like Garbodor, we don't really have that. Drampa is going to be pretty much our main attacker. So on those turns when our only powered up Pokemon goes down, we don't have a 1 energy attacker to fall back on. So we're going to need Max Elixir to help ensure that we can set up a new Drampa in 1 turn if we have to. Also just gives us a little bit of speed to our deck too, allows us to put some early pressure on. Next up, 2 Field Blower. Choose any combination of tools and stadiums in play and discard them. This is going to be mainly to get rid of our opponent's choice bands, just because 180 is actually a pretty easy number to hit for in a lot of decks. So with choice band, or getting rid of our opponent's choice bands makes that a little harder. So something like Metagross, for example, would do 150 plus 30 with the choice band knocking us out. With Gardevoir GX, they can already kind of easily knock us out, I won't lie, but Field Blower, forces them to commit more energy at times in order to take those knockouts. Volcanion. So just in general, Field Blower really helps, making sure that our opponent can't as easily knock us out in 1 hit. And then for our own tools, we're playing 3 Choice Band just to increase our damage to EXs and GXs. And then we're also playing 2 Floatstone just to give free retreat to any of our Pokemon that it's attached to. And then for the trainer cards, we're playing 4 Double Colorless Energy, obviously, and 9 Fire Energy. So it seems like a little bit of an inflated count of Fire Energy, but I kind of wanted to play a decent amount. That way we can, have a decent odds of hitting them off of our Max Elixirs. So that's why we're playing that count. But yeah, just pretty straightforward deck, nothing too crazy or fancy in it, just trying to power up Drampas and, do large amounts of damage. But yeah, and also guys too, if you want to see more decks chosen by the community, actually on our Patreon we have a level that you can be a part of where you actually get to choose what videos we create on the channel, so I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn more about that as well. But let's switch over to the battle portion of the video and show you how this deck looks in action. Alright guys, we have ourselves a game here, and it looks like our opponent has a fairy coin in deck box, so if I had to guess, this this might be a Gardevoir GX deck. I think it's a safe assumption. But here we actually have a pretty good opening. We have a Drampa to lead the game with. We also have a Bridget. So, well, we don't have a draw supporter for next turn, but we could get out a Rangaroo and play our hand down. So, I think we can make something work here. But here our opponent just attaches and passes. So can we get a knockout this turn? That's going to be the big thing. We actually might just be able to straight up win against this deck. If we can get this double Colorless Energy on Tapu Lele, we'll be in a good spot. But here, I think I'm going to favor going for Sycamore. Let's see. Ooh, we only have one Floatstone in the deck. It's a little bit risky, but yeah, let's go for it. Let's see if we can pull off something crazy here. We can actually, let's put down the DCE, get down the Choice Band, and we're going to discard the other Choice Band because we want that Floatstone. Okay, so we can actually play this hand down pretty low. I'm going to have to get a Rangaroo out of the deck. That's going to be the other way we can potentially draw into this Floatstone here. So let's probably get rid of the Acerola. We're really planning on not using it anymore after this turn, so we're going all in with this Donk strategy here. So we're going to grab the Rangaroo. And so let's bench all of the other cards. Yeah, I think we're going to have to bench this Lele as well. But here we hit Max Elixir, so that's cool. Let's play the other Max Elixir. We're just trying to thin cards out of our deck if possible. And here we're going to bench that Lele like I said. But let's play that other Max Elixir. And we do hit another Fire Energy. That's good. That's going to thin out these cards out of our deck. Alright, so Rangaroo, what are you going to bring us? And we do hit the Floatstone, so that means we are going to be able to retreat and do this energy drive for just enough damage to knock out this Ralts. So thanks for watching guys, video's over, right? I'm just kidding. Let's do one more and see if we can actually show off how this deck looks a little bit better. Here we are going to win the coin flips, that's good. Let's see if we can get a good opening. Okay, the hand's workable, it's not great, but let's see. If I could draw a Tapu Lele GX or a Bridget, that would actually be a pretty great first turn. Oh, and here opponent has a Noibat, so some sort of Noivern GX deck. So maybe Noivern Garbodor, that seems to be the most popular one I've run into on PTCGO. And, okay, so I'm going to Ultra Ball, probably get rid of one of the Acerolas. I don't want to get rid of both just because Noivern doesn't really hit us for a lot of damage, so we might be able to abuse it at some point in the game. And we'll get rid of this Field Blower as well. So what are we going to do? Could go for Lele. I think I'm going to go for the Drampa though. Seems okay, I suppose. So let's take a look to see everything that's in the deck still. Okay, I didn't see anything too crucial prized, so we're going to bench the Drampa. Unfortunately, we did not get an energy attachment. That's actually really bad. But luckily, like I said, Noivern GX doesn't really put on a whole lot of pressure, so we should be okay. At least for a couple turns. So let's see what our opponent is going to grab. They're going to get down a Psychic Energy. And okay, they're going to go for an Ultra Ball, so I would probably assume a Tapu Lele. Or maybe if they already have a supporter, maybe just another Noibat or a Trubbish. And we do see Trubbish hit the discard pile, so that does tell us this is going to be a Garbodor deck. And that actually could be bad. We need Salazzle in order to be able to take one-hit knockouts on these Noivern GX more easily. So Okay, so our opponent is going to grab a Tapu Lele to grab Bridget. So, okay, 2 Trubbish and Noibet, that seems pretty okay, I think. Okay, so they are going to hit heads on the agility, so that means I actually will not be able to damage them this turn. So I think I'm just going to play the end. Don't really need to bench the Lele at this point. Okay, so get down in energy at the very least. So that's good. Okay, so definitely want to attach this Drampa. And what do we do here? We could play Ultra Ball and get out a Salazzle, but I really don't want to get rid of any of the cards in my hand. I mean, maybe I could, I guess. I could get rid of... I don't know. I could just retreat and do Righteous Edge. No, he can't be damaged. So I can just retreat and do Big Wheel GX. That seems okay to me as well. Because I want to keep these Lele's if possible, just because under item lock, I'm not going to be able to Ultra Ball as easily. So I really want to have as many in the deck as possible. But here, you know, my hand off 10 cards, not actually too great, I hate to say. I do get double Carlos energy, so that is definitely good. Here our opponent is going to Ultra Ball, so they're probably going to get themselves a Noivern GX here to start using that Distort attack to shut off our item cards. Alrighty, so they are going to Skyla, and what are they going to grab here? Maybe a Float Stone to put on a Trubbish, maybe? Or maybe a supporter for next turn? I'm just not sure. Okay, so they are going to grab an N for the next turn. So, seeing that I have a huge hand, they probably want to do something about that if possible. Okay, so I'm definitely going to attach to this Drampa, and actually this agility that our opponent did on our Salandit last turn was pretty good. So here, man, this is actually a situation where I really wish I had a choice band, or access to choice band here. Here I'm just going to end. And okay, I do get down the Salazzle, so that's good. So get to use that before Garbatoxin comes into play. And so we're going to put this Noivern up to 180. It's not the end of the world though, because we do have Tapu Koko to potentially use at some point. We could spread damage that way and finish knocking it out. Also, we could just Guzma it up and use Righteous Edge on it. So a little unfortunate we did not take a knockout, but at the same time, this Noivern's really not putting on too much pressure. So okay, so we're going to see a Field Blower come down. Slightly annoying because we don't have a free retreating Pokemon to switch into otherwise. And what does our opponent have? So we're going to see them play their own Potown. I'm actually okay with this. Only downside is I can't play my own downs. That means they are going to be, stuck in my deck, and kind of, they're basically just dead cards at this point. So here our opponent is going to end us, and okay, actually this is a pretty workable hand, I won't lie. I do wish this energy was a double Carlos energy, but I can't complain too much here. But here we have an Enhanced Hammer coming down. That's slightly annoying. And our opponent is going to retreat into this Noibat. And this is actually the other Noibat has that Mysterious Beam attack. So if they flip heads, they can actually knock out or take off our energy. And they do. God, that's annoying. Okay. But the only good side is we now have access to our item cards again. So I can play Field Blower, I could get rid of that EXP share and Potown, and that way I can put my own Potown down. It doesn't have to be stuck in my deck anymore. Definitely going to bench the Tapu Koko here. And luckily I do have a Fire Energy in hand. And I don't know why I'm thinking about playing this Salazzle. It seems like kind of a bad play. Here I'm just going to Guzma up this Noivern. It's definitely the play to go with, I think. So here, while I have item cards, I am going to get a Choice Band down and just retreat into this Drampa. So luckily we do get 2 prize cards here, so hopefully we can get a supporter to use. And those are completely worthless. But you never know, my hand size is getting a little decent in comparison with how many prize cards I have left, so maybe our opponent might feel okay using N. So let's see. Ooh, we see a Parallel City. That could be interesting. Our opponent is going to grab Sycamore, so they're going to get down a Floatstone on Trubbish. Getting down a Dark Energy and playing Rescue Stretcher. So unfortunately, Noivern probably is coming back out to play this turn and is going to start lucking our item cards. But honestly, I don't really have any item cards I'd really want to play, to be honest. So your opponent is going to discard another Enhanced Hammer. I am more than happy to see that hit the discard pile. Hopefully they don't get down Garbodor, because I really want to be able to use Tapu Lele if we draw into one at some point here. So, ooh, they play Crushing Hammers too, so all sorts of annoying stuff in this Noivern deck. But here they are going to get out the Garbotoxin Garbodor, and they have a Crushing Hammer. Okay, they flip tail, so that is definitely good. And here we're probably just going to see a Distort, 50 damage, and shutting off my item cards. Okay, I do draw Guzma, so I might be able to buy a turn here, I guess. So can Guzma, I'm trying to think who's the safest target. I think maybe this Tapu Lele, because I'm assuming he plays the Trash Avalanche Garbodor in here as well. So I really don't want to bring up this Trubbish and have him, you know, get another attacker. You know, just evolve into another attacker and attack us that way. Yeah, so I think Tapu Lele is probably the best target here. So let's do that. Promoting this Tapu Koko. We're going to evolve into Salazzle. Oh, wait, but he has the Garbodor. Okay. A little bit of a misplay, but it wasn't going to be doing much for us otherwise. So here I'm just going to pass with this Tapu Koko in the active spot. It has free retreat, so you know, just kind of keeping my options open for what I want to retreat into at some point. Oh, and thank God our opponent is going to end us. My hand was so terrible. Okay, and this one's still pretty bad. Well, so they are going to play Parallel City, even better. So we're about to be ability locked, item locked, and locked on our bench as well. The only good thing for me right now, though, is I can use Max Elixir and attach this Fire Energy for turn. Well, okay, that's problematic too. I really needed that Choice Band in order to take a knockout on this Noivern. Okay, so definitely a very good turn from our opponent here. They're going to do 50 to this Tapu Koko. And, you know, I could play the Max Elixir, but, I kind of want to hang on to it until I can actually attack in the same turn. Oh, wait, I'm item locked in. What am I even talking about? Okay, yeah, I definitely have to hold on to the Max Elixir. Okay, you can see I'm not too used to playing against Noivern GX. So our opponent is going to Sycamore here. Oh god, they have Crushing Hammer. And they flip tails. We really needed that, so we got a little lucky there. We really need to draw a supporter, and I actually don't think I really had any prized from what I remember. So, and I don't think I've even played Sycamore yet in this entire game, if I remember correctly. So, just a bunch of good old-fashioned dead drawing, I suppose. So what is our opponent doing? It looks like they're contemplating. They could go for a Distort and keep locking our items, or they could go for a Boom Burst GX, or even a, I forget Noivern's second attack, the one that locks special energies. So they are committing to the active, and I'm actually okay with this, so that means we are not going to be item locked after this turn. More than likely. So yeah, we're going to see a Boom Burst GX doing 50 to everything, and you know, even though my Drampa is, you know, really softened up at this point, we are going to be able to take a knockout most likely here. So, okay, so yeah, we're definitely going to get down this Choice Band. That's going to allow us to get knocked out. But here, I'm going to try to use Max Elixir first if possible. That way I can attach this Fire in hand somewhere else. Okay, we failed the Max Elixir, so I'm going to have to attach this Drampa. And so we're going to do... Oh, crap, I forgot to attach that Choice Band. I don't think it matters too much at this point as far as the math goes, but you never know. It still was not the correct play. I definitely should have gotten that down on the Tapu Koko. So we're probably just going to see a Psychic Energy, or Dark Energy in this case, come down and just knock us out with the Distort. And I'm not going to have too much left to really work with after, but here our opponent gets an N, and if they play this N, I will not say no. It is going to put me at a lower hand size, but yeah, I would have preferred an N that turn. But maybe we can draw into a Sycamore or something like that. We do not, so we're not going to attach this Fire Energy. I actually have some options. Salazzle, if I draw a DCE, could be a decent attacker. But here I'm going to bring up this Lele and try to stall for a turn if possible. And so I can attach to the active. I could do that. That'll make each Pokemon one energy away, or one double Carlos energy away from being knocked out. Little risky attaching to the active just in case they do have a switching card. Okay, so they do have the Floatstone. So unfortunately that is kind of an attachment wasted. Maybe I could have put that on the bench Pokemon, or the bench Salazzle instead. That might have been safer. So I apologize for some of these little minor misplays, guys. I was recording this at like 1 in the morning, which is usually way past my bedtime. But here, we're not out of the game yet. It's looking bad, but if we can just draw a supporter and get back in this game, we might be okay. Here we're just going to retreat into this Salazzle. I guess we'll attach return to the Tapu Koko. Just really need to draw something on my next turn. So what does our opponent have? Ooh, they have a 0-card hand, so we're probably going to see an N from them actually. Or I'm sorry, 0 cards in their deck, so they're going to have to end us if they don't want to deck out. So okay, so we're going to see an N come down. I am ecstatic about this. Please, a supporter. Oh, awesome. So we have Tapu Lele and a Sycamore, even better. Okay, so we're going to see a Distort knocking out the Salazzle. I'm okay with that. Okay, so we're going to bench the Lele, and then we're going to Sycamore. We need a DCE. Okay, awesome. So we did get it. We are going to be able to, put some pressure on this Noivern now. So here, I'm just taking a look. How many items have I used? That's 20, 40, 60, 80, 120, 40. So a Choice Banded Garbodor with a Psychic Energy will knock us out, unfortunately. But I honestly am not even sure if our opponent is playing Choice Bands in this deck. It hasn't looked like it from what I've seen so far. They're already playing the EXP shares and the Floatstones, so more than likely, I think we're actually going to be safe here. So we're going to do Energy Drive. We're going to do 80 damage this turn, and hopefully, we can get down a double Carlos Energy or a Choice Band next turn and finish taking a knockout on this Noivern GX here. So let's just see what our opponent is going to do. So we're just going to see a Distort. So we could go for the N. We still have some DCs left in deck. We're gonna be only getting 2 cards, but we should still have 2 in there. So let's see what we can do here. It's gonna be a big N. And we hit the DCE, so that means we're actually gonna be able to do just enough damage to take a knockout here. So we're gonna do Energy Drive for 120 damage, I believe it is, and that's going to be just enough to take a knockout on this Noivern GX deck. So yeah, we're going to take that one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this look at this Drampa GX Salazzle deck. Definitely a very fun deck idea. And like I said too, if you want to have more of a say over what type of content that we put out, definitely check out our Patreon and learn how you can actually choose our videos that we do on this channel. But as usual, guys, feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out our merchandise over at rarecandytcg.com or support us on our Patreon like I mentioned. It'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.